Thanks for downloading this episode of Backstage with the Simple Church podcast. We are here fresh off the Honduras trip with a couple incredible women. Robyn, Horton, do-good pastor, back again. I think you might have the record for most frequent podcast recurring guest
honored.
in
I'm
the
just
couple
honored.
weeks. You've been doing a lot of good.
We have been doing a lot of good at the Simple Church, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And
Absolutely.
we did just get back from an incredible trip to Honduras with a team of all women.
First time ever, right?
First time
Never
ever.
kind of trip like this. And you brought two of them today, so why don't you introduce our guests?
I did. There were 13 of us that traveled together to Honduras, and I've got two of them with us today. So I have Miss Sally Joyner.
Woo-woo.
And she's here, and then Britney Spivey. So
Brittany's been on before. Sally, is this your first podcast?
I think it is.
There you go. And you were saying you didn't want anybody to hear you. You've got a lot of good stuff to say, and we're excited to have you. Longtime part of the Simple Church. Sally, we'll let you go first. Tell us about you. Tell us about your family, what you do. Just playing some tennis this morning. Tell us about Sally Joyner.
Well, I'm married to Kurt. We have 3 daughters.
How long?
Over 50 years.
Yep.
And wonderful son-in-laws and 6 grandkids. And we're retired, or I am.
What did you do before you retired?
Worked with graduate sales.
Yep.
With Kurt's business for
Absolutely.
about 40 years.
If you bought a ring or done any of those kinds of things in Shreveport
Class
Bossier,
ring?
you
Yeah,
probably
if you
did
got
it
a
from
class
Kurt
ring,
Joyner.
you
You
got
didn't even
That
know.
was us.
And Sally, that's right. Sally, thanks for coming on. Brittany, how about you?
I'm Britney Spivey. I am married to Paul for 15 years, and we have 4 boys. And I think we've been with Simple Church since 2007 when we first started dating.
Yeah.
And so
You've done a lot of life at the time Simple Church has been starting. A lot of change.
Simple Church has done a lot of life with us.
That's
Like,
very
all
true.
the things.
Thankful to have you. Sally, one thing I didn't ask, when did you guys start coming to Simple Church?
Gosh, when we were meeting at the movie theater.
Yeah.
I don't know how many
For the
years
first
ago.
time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time.
And how'd you get connected? Did you know Justin before? Were you just looking for a new church?
I knew Justin when he was singing in the band.
Yeah.
When he would come to our church and sing for our youth. But at the time, one of our daughters and her husband were going here, and they said, y'all got to come. So we came.
And here you are.
It's still here. Uh-huh.
Absolutely. So, Robyn, tell us a little bit about the idea for this trip, where it came from, what made you want to do an all-women's trip, and what made this Honduras trip different? Because we've been going to Honduras for, probably 10-ish years now.
We have.
At least.
Yes, I think we talked about it the other day. I learned just on Sunday, that Bill Allred was the catalyst. He was the first one to go to Honduras.
And
that
Paul
was
and Brittany, y'all went, right?
We went on that
on
trip.
that first trip, but Bill went with a group, him and 2 other men, not from here. He didn't know them.
Gotcha.
But it was a fact-finding trip with Living Water back in the day in 2011. And then he went on that first trip with you when Simple Church started partnering with Living Water. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, Living Water moved to a different part of Honduras, and we were really passionate about staying in that region of Honduras. And Agua Viva International was the nonprofit organization that was still in Honduras that was still doing ministry in that part. And so we maintained relationships with them, and now Honduras Well Projects. And so their primary purpose is still doing water wells, but they also are seeing needs beyond that, meaning medical care, discipleship, and some different things that they're able to go back and focus on. And so Honduras Well Projects, Julie Stunkel, and some women in her church in Wisconsin had piloted this beloved project in a couple other communities, and kind of had pitched the idea to see if it might work with us. And so we decided to try it and see. And so because it's so new and because it's very different, and Agua Viva is still trying to figure that out, because they have been primarily, it'd be basically like if you are a car mechanic and all of a sudden we want you to also work on boats, and you're not trained to work on boats, but this is what you do. So you can't just throw it all at them at one time. And so it is new for them. And so they're learning on how to do this in a different way, because it's a lot to manage, a lot of other things, rather than just taking a drill in there and going deep and finding the water and moving on to the next community. So, and it's a lot of relationships.
Yes,
absolutely. Takes a lot. So we put a team together. Myself started dreaming about it. I involved Christy Aguiar. Between the two of us, we really were intentional on asking people who had gifts and abilities that would benefit this project, which was to go in and disciple and encourage women in the community. In the Honduras culture, there really is a hierarchy culture there, and women are, I don't even want to say seen as less than, but they're not equal to a man. And so we wanted to go in and elevate them, really talk about how God sees them, that they are loved, they are seen, they are valued, they are worthy. And so that was our purpose, is to go in and remind them that they are Christ's beloved, just like we are. And so that was our sole purpose in going in. And then beyond that, the teaching part, we got to disciple them in the morning. We got to, Perry Reed came and did some counseling training with them. Counseling training isn't the right word. She got to really help them explore how the discipleship piece coordinates with how they feel in their body and their mind and their spirit. And that was really powerful. And then in the afternoons, we did some fun breakouts to, again, re-emphasize all of those things. And then at the end of the week, we closed it out with them getting to shop in a dignified boutique where they got to pick out brand new clothes just for them. And every woman walked away with, we'll talk more about that, but they all got to walk away with new clothes, a bag of food, 2 weeks worth of food. Their kids got to shop too. And it just was way more than we could ask or imagine. The whole week was. And all of us were blown away by what we saw God do. We also did a medical clinic and saw some great things come out of that too. So we took a medical professional, Kristen Robinson went. She was our physician's assistant. She works, she's an OBGYN. Took 2 incredible nurses who've had a huge life experience and working in ERs and all different kinds of training that can see anything, and then treated us and all our aches and pains and all that. So it was just a wide variety of skills and gifts that everybody put into in different ways.
And y'all got to tell someone a pretty big surprise, huh?
Yes, we did.
You sent a video in the staff, and that's something that's probably never happened on mission trip before.
Yes, it was a Simple Church first for us, for sure. And that was on the second day. They had a woman come to the clinic. Maybe she came on the first day, and she indicated that she wasn't feeling well. She came to the clinic. She was throwing up, and she definitely presented to the women in the medical providers. It looked to them as textbook pregnancy, but she said, no, I've been trying for 10 years. I don't think I'm pregnant. Well, they went to the pharmacy, got our pregnancy test, and she came back. The next day to the clinic, they gave her the pregnancy test. She went to her home, took the pregnancy test, brought it back. She didn't look at it. She stuck it back in the box and let the medical team and the translator open the box. And then they got to tell her that she was indeed pregnant. And so to see her, celebrate after that, I think one of the most powerful parts of it was she came to one of the translators later. They got to create hats and decorate hats that said beloved on it. And she told a translator, she goes, now I really do know that I'm beloved. And she said, well, yes, you are, and whatever. And the translator didn't know at the time she was pregnant, or that she'd heard that news. And she said, no, God really has heard my prayers. I know he really loves me because he's given me a child. Man. So it was very powerful for all of us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but not one. There were 2 pregnancies. So there was a second baby. Yeah. And she was told she couldn't have any more children. So, but she was pregnant.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love the vision and having this idea of the trip, Robyn. So then talk about, let's bring Britney involved first.
Yeah.
So Simply Chic, Britney, your founder, mogul, all kinds of
she's
business
mogul.
Genius over here
She
in the
is,
area.
yeah.
We've worked and done a lot of stuff with Britney. You've been super generous and kind to us and all the things you've done. No, thank you. Really, we appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I know when Robyn was thinking about people, that was probably something, Robyn, that
that's
popped
exactly.
in your mind of how to do that, and specifically with dignity and clothing. And these different things for these women.
Yeah. And I do want to mention, I want Britney to talk about why she did what she did, but I approached her because she is an expert in that area of clothing, but she's also great at networking and getting people together in a way, and getting people to participate in something. I knew that she had the potential of getting people to do things and participate in something and do it in the best way possible. And so I had asked her in order to see if she would participate in that, but get people to bring clothes that were gently used. And she had a better idea. So I'll let her tell you about that.
What excited you about this and made you want to get involved, and tell us about what you guys did?
Well, I told you Paul stepped down at Bipsy in May. And
Your husband,
a main reason we wanted that is so that we could go on mission trips again and go to church camp with our kids. And it was like God was like, Paul was at church camp in June, and then here Robyn was calling me after, like,
and he's working with Simple Sheep now with you.
Right. And so it was like, are you going to, do? And so when Robyn called, I was like, this is like a dream. This is what we've wanted to get plugged back in here. And, I think with the store, so many times it's such a materialistic job. If you like that, get it in 3 colors. But to see the store and your business do good. I mean, in medical, you're helping people all the time. But for me, sometimes it can just feel frivolous. But God can take anything and do good with it. And that was really cool to see him take clothing. When Robyn said, they kind of do gently used, we're thinking we're going to clothespin them up. And I was like, we're telling these women how worthy they are, how great they are. So in my mind, I really think it was God, like, putting it in our mind and building it up. It was just like, no, we are going to make this as nice as we would for American women, because they are just as important. They are just as loved. And so it was, we had our thing at the store where we raised money, and people got to write on the tags about how there's people praying for them and loving them.
Talk about that for a second. That was in December, right?
Right.
And so
we just invited the community to come out and purchase for a good cause. So all of the profits went to our trip. I don't even remember what did we
It was like $3,200,
yeah.
I think.
In like 2 hours or something.
Awesome.
And so that was cool, because there were people who I think are a little fearful, that we know that they were just fearful about going on a trip like that. But they got to be a part of it. And when I've seen them since coming back just a few days, they are like, well, tell me about it. I want to see pictures, because they were
invested.
So, even our charm bar that we did out in one of our breakouts, it is something that they do in America that would be popular here with women in America. We literally gave them our best of our best, I feel like, and they felt that. So it was just cool to look at all these women serving them, and they're getting to pick, and there's some autonomy in that they're getting to pick their favorite color, and they get to pick their size, and and
instead
to see
of
that
hand-me-down stuff or things that
it
probably
was
used to, which is
it had tags on it. It had tags written with a letter to them, like, we love you, we're praying for you. So I was so thankful to just even play a small part, and that was so cool.
That's a really cool addition.
It was cool to see everybody come through and them get to see that got. Well, you can tell them, how many of each thing did they get? They got 2 dresses, 2 tops, 2 leggings, a skirt, a t-shirt, flip-flops. Mm-hmm.
And that. So I told someone, because, we're looking at it, and it's not like the highest quality ever, but for these women, it would be like you sending Mallory into Lululemon and saying, go pick 10 items.
Which is out of our price range.
Right. But for them, this is
was.
Right.
So go pick 10 items that you like just for you at a Lululemon.
Yeah.
And she would be like, what? Like,
right.
And that's what, and then they had their little reusable bag, and some of them went and just put it right on. Like, they were so excited.
Absolutely.
And it was so cool to see. And just, again, God takes something that's so frivolous and materialistic and then just use it for good is really cool.
Yeah. So Robyn, to connect with Sally, reach out to Sally.
Yes.
How did you get a part of that trip, Sally? How'd you get into this?
I was coming out of church one Sunday, and Robyn pulled me aside and said, I want you to go.
Yes.
And it was just that easy.
Yeah.
I'd been wanting to go back. And
had you been on trips before? Where have you been?
I've been to Honduras several times, and Rwanda.
Yeah.
Haiti.
Awesome.
So
Sally's been about everywhere. She's been a veteran.
I thought you had been on
Sally
trips.
had to put that. She put her family first for a lot of years. A lot of, with her daughter and her daddy, and it was kind of bittersweet, I know, for her to now have the freedom to be able to go again. And so when I asked her, I knew we needed a veteran trip leader, but also a prayer warrior on this team who could lead with grace and integrity and just lots and lots of love. And that's who Sally was on this trip. There was not one person on this team that did not say at one point, I want to be Sally when I grow up, which really means I want to be like Jesus when I grow up.
I was thinking about everyone's gifts on this trip, and like I was trying to explain it to people, and because you kind of when you're up against medical professionals and like counselors and all of these people, these great speakers, and I think we all had some parts where we were like, what am I doing here around these all-stars? But like everyone had strengths in ways that you don't even always see in yourself. And then we just got to see that, experience it, and cheer it on in each other, which was cool. Yes. But every time I talked about this trip, I talked about Sally. Some of my highlights are watching her be so intentional with everyone from infants, literally newborns, to like the oldest person there, and just taking that time and being so present and loving on them with her whole body and soul and heart. And I was just like, I want that. I want to be that, so I like her gift was so large, and then just her experience in life as a mom and a wife, and so powerful. Yeah. And yet so quiet in it. It was just really cool to watch.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we used to say this in student ministry all the time, is if you came to church every Sunday for a year, it's 52 hours. Maybe a little more if you volunteer, you double it. But if we would go to camp or a trip or a weekend getaway, it's almost the same amount of time as a year's worth of relationship in one trip. And even like, think about your best friends, the people you know the best, you probably see them 3 or 4 times a month if you don't work with them, versus a trip like this. And if you've never been on a mission trip, one of the unintended benefits, I think, is you connect with people on such a deeper level because it's so much time and conversation, and the pace of life slows down. And I'm sure you guys had those conversations, and being around somebody like Sally, I know is a win for everybody around, for sure. What I know of it, and I'm sure that's what everybody felt too coming out of it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was. But Sally, kind of share I know you had some. We do one of the benefits of going on a trip is around every night you sit and kind of have a debrief, and you just kind of talk about your highlights from the day or what you takeaways. And so Sally had some great ones that she shared, and she got to really pour into some ladies. So I'll let her share a couple of her highlights.
Thanks, Robyn. The first day that we met with the ladies that morning, we all got there and were setting up, and the ladies were coming in. And Perry and Casey spoke that morning and just shared some things on their heart. But as the ladies came in, there was this one younger lady. She came in late, and she didn't look happy to be there. So we kept watching her throughout when the girls were speaking, and God just kept putting her on my heart. So when they finished and we began to have some music, and Robyn said, let's go pray for these ladies. And she came up, and through an interpreter, I prayed for her, and we went and prayed for several more. But I came back later, and she was still on my heart that morning. And when you speak through an interpreter, it just feels a little different. And God kept saying, pray for her. And we're watching her, and tears are coming down her face. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
And so I went up, and I grabbed her hands and began to pray for her without an interpreter, and prayed for quite a while. And it was just like God said, it's okay, you don't have an interpreter, you got me. And later on, a day or two later, she told me through an interpreter we had that she knew I was praying for her. And I told her, I said, I'm praying for courage and for strength and for peace, because you could see she didn't have a great deal of peace. And so it always amazes me how I'm going to pray for her, and I know she can't understand me and I can't understand her, but she did, because she felt the same things that I prayed for. And it was there were many special moments, but for me, that was a real special moment.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And they really connected after.
Yeah, I did connect
that
with her. And in fact, today, I had a little message from her through one of the workers. And so I hope to continue and pray for her.
That's awesome.
That's great.
That's
Robyn,
awesome.
do you have a moment that stands out like that for you? Something else, a highlight or something that jumped out of the whole week of trip? I know it's hard sometimes to narrow it down, but just highlight one for us.
There were several. I think, number one, God does miracles when you take a whole team of 13 women who prepared to work with women and you get there and realize you have as many children as you do women, and where our team had to separate with very few supplies, and half the team went and championed kids ministry for a whole week with a few soccer balls and some chalk and jump ropes and whatever, and they did it incredibly well, and that was a miracle. And some days you couldn't see Britney because she's in the middle of all these kids and they're face painting with whatever they could find, and they're it's like feeding the 5,000. I mean, they just took what little bit they had and it just multiplied, and it was incredible. I think one of the other Kenya is the name of the leader of the that we got to work with of this community. It's Las Casitas, very small community, but as a woman, she has been the champion for that community. She went and petitioned the government for electricity for their community, and they said, well, once you get water, we'll get electricity, but she's got to figure that out. So that's how she got connected with Agua Viva. Brittany Reeves' event, Wine to Water, was responsible for putting the water well
And just real quick, we'll put a link in the show note. We've talked to Brittany and Haley. If you've heard us talk to, they do a lot with that and able to raise the money and help and get the walk. All those different things was a part of that. So they were on the strip too, right?
Yeah, so Brittany was. Brittany Reeves was. And so that well is there. It's there. It's now even responsible for bringing water into their homes, which is amazing. But because of that, then she was able to go back to the government and say, okay, I got the water. So now they just got electricity this year. Wow. So that's been huge. But you could see the burden that she was carrying, trying to carry that entire community herself. And on the second day, Perry was doing an activity about understanding your feelings and the pieces of your heart and how you got there. And that Kenya had sat down and kind of colored half her heart black and half her heart red. And the interpreter started asking her about that. And she just kind of broke at that point and just was really broken and struggling in her leadership role and needed that encouragement. So Sally and I stepped aside and with the help of an interpreter just kind of prayed over her with her leadership role. I mean, she was really trying to be everything to everyone in that whole community. She was setting up the tables, setting up the tents, she was doing it all for this whole community. We could just see her take some deep breaths and start to relax. But at the same point, she said, I've put my relationship with Christ, on the back burner, so to speak, and she wanted to recommit her life to Christ. So Sally and I got to pray with her and lead her in that. And so just to see her kind of catch some, get a deep breath, kind of see that there was somebody there that believed in her, and we were able to kind of just pour into her for the rest of the week. So that kind of meant a lot to me. But I think really overall was seeing all of us women be able to work together and get along and have it was beautiful. I mean, really to see this many come and bring good news, but we got as much out of it as we always say, Evan. Any trip you go on, it's like we think we're going over there to change their world, and it's ours that gets changed. It's always mutual. And so that was the biggest always the biggest reminder to me is that we have so much to learn. We really have so much to learn from another culture. Yeah. We do not have it figured out. We really don't. So
one of my favorite quotes from the week was Britney goes, I just did not expect to like all of y'all.
Yes,
that's right. It really, from
tells it how it is.
Three women who've worked with a lot of women to spend that much time. We had very little downtime because it was our first time. So every night, Robyn would be like, you've got 30 minutes to get showered up and then come back down. We're prepping for the next day. So, and then when we would leave, we were done at like 9:30 most nights.
Yeah.
And we went to bed. So, I mean, we were meeting at 7:30. and we did not stop. So it was hard to even miss your families because you were just going the whole time. But we spent so much time together, and it to be some big personalities, everyone got along so beautifully. I've never seen anything like that.
That was the aha every single night. Was like, I can't believe everyone likes each other.
But it was like everybody brought a different gift. You know, there were all these women, but everybody had a different gift and used it.
And looking at the picture too, I think some of them aren't even simple church people necessarily, right?
Yeah,
They go to
Kristen.
the church
Well,
and-
Kristen doesn't.
Casey
she's a
doesn't live
long
here.
history with a lot of us grown and knowing. And Casey, I'd asked her, God had just laid her on my heart as the teacher. And then she was so connected. I mean, she just felt natural too.
Yeah.
Just felt normal.
But even that's another layer. Of
adds
people.
another layer. And she doesn't live here. She lives in Nashville now. Right. And so, outside of those two, everybody else was connected to the Simple Church. And so, it just really was. It couldn't have gone.
I loved how you saw the burden that Kenya had. And Christy Aguiar, there was another little girl in our group that was just kind of hard to love. She was kind of a bully a little bit and like hogged everything. And I mean, we've all seen them. I worked with in the youth group for 10 years. So like you've seen them.
My house can be that
right.
way. Yeah.
But you know, you're short on time. There was 90 kids and there was, I think, 6 of us. So like, and we don't speak their language. So just imagine. So, but Christy, and I learned this from other leaders, and it really spoke to me in my life, that y'all look past the person to the burden that they had. And Christy sought her out and found out what was going on in her life. And really worked with her and to love her and to walk through it with her and minister to her. And I mean, that was, and how you did that with Kenya, because she was rubbing her shoulders. I mean, we were painting faces and massaging hands, and like it was a hands-on job, but like how y'all sought after their heart and to see past the person and see the burden was just, I want to use that more in my life. Because sometimes we can just be like, oh, you know, that person is hard to love and kind of steer clear.
Sure.
But y'all went right into the storm with them.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, and maybe Sally, you can talk to it. I think what we saw, Sally and I got to be with the women more during the morning than all of us were in the afternoon. But the women were so quick to, we use in the church word all the time, testify, but to tell of what God was teaching them immediately. And I think we don't do that enough, maybe. But I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, just of what they would stand up and share.
They shared their heart. And I think that we don't do that, not here. We keep it to ourselves. But in the little group that I did, we had the little mirror, and you got them to look into it and go, what do you see? And the responses were anywhere from happy to, I see tears, I'm sad, I see a sad person. Or I want to be beautiful, but I don't see a beautiful person. And I think that's what this was more about, was to help these women to feel good about themselves and know that God loves them regardless of what they look like, what status they have in their little village. It just, for me, it was just showing them that somebody loved them. You know, I don't have any trouble with going up and hugging a stranger and giving them a kiss. And God allowed me to do it every day, and it just...
the ministry of touch, and that's like Britney was saying, being hands-on and doing it.
Hands-on.
I mean, sometimes people don't have that. They don't have parents. They don't have someone there that.
And that's and that's what I saw with Sally, and she had told us about that morning. The first morning, she gave a devotion, and she had challenged us, asked us if we were going to be a turkey, if we're going to be an eagle, and and then are you going to go and just hug somebody and be that person? And then that first morning, God gave her Francis to hug. And that, I'm telling you, when that Francis came into her wings and melted and just poured out the tears that obviously had been held in for a long time. And Francis just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And she needed a safe place to let that out. And then you just saw Francis blossom throughout the next few days. because she trusted.
But to
Sally.
be that safe place for just a few days.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the way they'll become to each other.
Right.
And depend on one
and
another.
I mean, you just need one example sometimes of healthy, or you need one example of love, and then it's like what it looks like, and it's easier to find. And I think that's what they saw in you. They saw Jesus in you, and so hopefully for them it'll be easier to find, or maybe they'll become that for someone else. Because you were like that pillar, that example for them.
Absolutely.
And for each of us.
That's
so.
right. And sorry, Brittany, you're left out of this, but the rest of us have daughters. And I think about that, being a dad of daughters and you raising all girls and daughters, that there is this extra burden and weight that they carry that, I don't understand fully, but y'all do, that as women, and especially in a different country and a different culture of all those things, that somebody would intentionally seek them out and pour into them and speak to them and make them feel that special and that loved. I want somebody to do that for my kids. All of us would want that for somebody. And in this situation, in these circumstances, how even more intentional and special that is. We don't know what God's going to do with that, but how cool that a group of American women went, and Christians, the next level of that, are going and treating them with respect and dignity and kindness, telling them these things, letting them hear what God's truth is for them, especially when you look in the news and hear all these different messages and things that people we all probably know say about people from different countries that, this is not really controversial, but God is not an American God. We are a much bigger God around the world of these things. And when you get out of yourself and the echo chambers and the bubbles we hear, you get those experiences and seeing it. So going to Juarez and going to Mexico and all these different places, it's like it's a lot harder to say things about somebody when you've looked them eye to eye.
Right.
Dennis watches the feed every week and is a part of Simple Church and comes to visit, all those things. Like all of a sudden it changes when it's somebody you know.
Yes.
And
Somebody
you
you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything changes.
It is. So
Thank you guys for doing
And
that.
someone you love them.
Yeah.
I will say I don't have daughters, but I was the daughter who other women poured into, and how important that was, and how I, the Lisa McDaniel said I wanted to model my family after her. The kids there and the women, their mothers are their first vision of Jesus in their life. If we had them, write things on popsicle sticks, it's their mom. They had cups. My mom is my life.
Yeah.
The mom is so important there, and they don't get the opportunity to probably give their kids the one-on-one attention we do. We plan our trips around. They can't. They are cooking from scratch and getting water, all the things. But they love those babies, and those babies love their moms. And that's when we were talking, I'm like, I loved the little 11 and 12-year-old boys best, probably because they were just like my Parker and my boys, and they enjoyed Spider-Man like my boys. They enjoyed painting faces. Like, they're just like our kids. Yeah. They just speak a different language and don't have near as many opportunities as we do. So you are right. When you go and love someone else, it softens your heart to everyone else like that.
Absolutely.
Well, I think when we're trying to encourage the women to love themselves and to see themselves like God sees them, then they can turn around to their children, their husbands, and hopefully have a little bit of that love, maybe that wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
And as parents, you model that too. And Sally, I'm just going to say this for you, is Courtney, your daughter, went on trips with us, was a student ministry leader for years, and I got to see her do that and invest in those kids over and over and all these different trips and leading small groups and all that stuff. And that is a direct correlation to how you guys loved her and raised her. And now as Brittany, as parents, you get to explain to your boys, why was mom gone? Okay, what is this? Why did mom go on this mission trip? Why was this spending the time and the energy and the effort to do this, Robyn, with your kids, or all you've done for all these years? Of it instills something in them too that's the next level. As a parent, we model who we want our kids to be, but we got to do it. You can't just say it.
And Parker was very invested. Very invested. He wanted to see their house. He wanted it. What did you paint on their face today? What activity did you do? He was very invested in it. And then it was sweet because we had a little American poetry contest that I missed, and the whole table was very invested in my little boys.
Yeah.
In my
community.
life. Yeah. They're like, how'd they do?
Right.
And it's just the community of loving on each other. Paul always says, if you're going to go on a trip, come back with the full cup so you can pour.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think all our cups were just like
very full,
overflowing.
And that's one thing we did do. We did several of these breakouts, and Brittany talked about hers. They did a bracelet that had 3 charms that reinforced some of the stuff we were talking about. Sally, they did a photo did a Polaroid and then a mirror that reflected who they are and reminding them who they are. I did a cup that they got to design,
Jennifer
but also
did a
talked
hat.
about, filling how they need to, make sure they're filled up so they can keep pouring out. Jennifer did a hat, and with 3 corded strand on it, and talked about that. And then Britney and them did their hands, did a manicure, and just got to the touch and reminding them of their value too. And so all of that added together, and then the medical care on top of that, of just knowing that somebody cared about to listen, not just to their heart, but a lot of times they didn't even have a medical problem. They just wanted somebody to listen to them, or they had some aches and all they needed some Tylenol, but they just wanted to be heard. And so that somebody would listen and empathize with them. It was all of that was very powerful. It was so it was great. I cannot say enough good
Robyn,
things
I
about the
had
week.
no idea all the, I only knew about the clothing, some kid stuff, and then like my little charm bar. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did all that. Like, did you feel like that, Sally?
Yes,
I got in there, and
definitely.
because I had no idea about the medical. I mean, I knew we were something medical, but then all that went. I mean, they got a
extent
first
of it,
aid
yeah.
bag that had directions in Spanish on every single thing. They had, I mean, all the messages from. Kelly did OT. She's an OT teacher.
Yeah.
She did like kind of yoga.
Oh, that's what. Yes,
Yeah.
but I did want to talk about that, and that was That was another thing that Sally and I got to see was when Kelly Brandon. We used her gift to be an occupational therapist, and she taught them some stretching exercises that just helped with stress relief, muscle problems because they bend over a lot, things that can easily be relieved with just stretching movements. And so they did that, but you could literally see a change in their posture and their bodies just by teaching them how to stretch. And it broke some tension. The relationships deepened more because you laugh and the translators are giggling and everybody's laughing and all the different things because you're asking to move in ways that you weren't thinking about the fact that they have skirts on, some of them. And so everybody's giggling, but then Kelly got to use her gift and she kept saying, "Why? I don't even know why I'm here." I'm like, "No, you're here."
Kelly said that so many times. She was my roommate, and she's kind of my aunt too, step aunt. But which she was a golden girl, and we tease her about that
Like at LSU.
all the
Legit.
time. But she was like, I mean, what am I bringing to the table? This was her first ever mission trip. And if you know Kelly, she serves, her children serve. Like it's evident in her life, her heart. When we would get around kids, she was like, they were so attracted to her. I said they could see her golden aura. Like I've never seen anything like it. Kids usually like me, but they were like pushing me
No.
out of the way.
I swear
to get to her.
the LSU music was playing behind her
Yes.
because it
Theme
was
song
like
constantly.
Truly. They would
dun.
write her
Yeah.
letters. I mean, it was, I've never seen anyone work with children like that. And so then for you have someone like that going, I don't really think I have a gift. And you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But you know, that day that the first day she did that, even one of our interpreters, I consider them
Oh, yeah.
leaders.
Yes.
I mean, Robyn had to take the microphone from, she was so tensed up. And as she did the exercises, her face it just changed. It was good for even her.
It's very good for all of us.
Yeah, it was good for everybody. Like
Yeah.
she was wanting to do it so bad, so I would just hold the microphone with my hand so she could do it. And then finally she was in tune enough with herself that she knew she needed to pass it off to another interpreter so she could fully participate. Because of some hardships she'd gone through in her life, and she needed to let that go.
Yeah.
And it all just beautifully worked together. The counseling piece. We did have an 82-year-old woman who came. She came during the time when we were talking about the heart, and it looks like a shattered heart, but it's just little sections of a heart that you color with different emotions. But this woman can't read, but she could see that it was a heart. And she told the interpreter, she said, that heart looks like mine. It's shattered. So the interpreter told her what Perry's personal story, Perry's testimony. And the woman had shared her story with the interpreter of what God had done, and she had lost her son to gang violence a few weeks before, and one son's here in the States somewhere she doesn't know. Her daughter had been given up for adoption when she was 4 because she had polio, and she knew a missionary family could care for her in the States. She's never seen her since. And this woman asked, well, if God can put her shattered heart back together again, do you think he can put mine back together again? And so she found the joy of the Lord. And I mean, we were all touched by her. She came back every day, smile on her face. We got to give her, she got to shop, got dresses. Danye McNabb got to know her well in the clinic and really bonded with her. And it was just neat to see them build that relationship and love on her and know that someone does deeply care for her, even in her extreme hurt, and to know that she is alone, but she's not. Yeah. She's not alone now. So lots of those stories. So it was incredible.
Thank y'all for doing it. Thanks for following that call. We're going to wrap up, but just the last thought is anybody listening, we'll end with you, Robyn, and we'll talk about opportunities for people to join trips. But Sally, if somebody's listening has never been on a trip, or they haven't been in a long time, or they're hesitant, they're going. All of us have life and jobs and all the complications of all that. What would you say to somebody who hasn't gone on a trip or needs to sign up for the next one that hasn't been in a while?
Go.
That easy.
It's just that easy, because no one wants to step out of their comfort zone. And what they don't realize is if they will just go, God will put them in his comfort zone. And I can promise you'll be blessed if you go. You're going thinking you're doing all these great things, but you come back totally blessed and totally filled up.
Yeah.
Brittany, how about you? You're a business owner. You've got your young kids at home, different phase of life. It's not easy to go. It's a lot of logistics and complicated for that. What would you say to somebody that maybe is not gone or is worried about going or hesitant to go?
Yeah, I mean, Robyn was like, just be flexible. When you get there, sign up, put it on your calendar. When you put something on your calendar, you're not going to plan, and just be flexible and see where God's going to lead you. I mean, we thought we were working with women, and I ended up with kids the entire time. And by the time we left, I was like, I wouldn't have had it any other way. That's where I was supposed to be. So just, there's always so many opportunities. We've done Juarez, we've done Honduras, and there's never been one that we regretted spending that time.
Shout out Paul Spivey, holding down the fort.
That's right.
Good
he
man.
did sacrifice. Yeah.
He's a good man.
Yes.
Robyn, wrap us up and then tell everybody about some things coming up that they could be a part of and sign up.
We have some trips already coming up to Honduras that are already full. And I know everybody goes, well, I didn't even hear about them. Well, a lot of times it's word of mouth. And we are taking a first-timers trip here in March. Brian's leading that. But there is going to be a trip in July back to Honduras. It's a water well trip. And so if you're interested in that, priority is going to be given to those who are involved in the Walk for Water, or if you gave to the Walk for Water in any way, shape, or form. But then if that doesn't fill up, we'll take anybody who wants to go on that. So we'll do that. Then we're looking to book a Rwanda trip. That's one of those we have to plan pretty far out, and we just have had a hard time finding a good date for that. And then we're trying to get some Juarez dates for a family trip. We really want to see that. We couldn't make it work for spring break. So maybe we can make it work for fall break.
And if you want to stay in the States, Lighthouse. Plug Lighthouse real quick.
Lighthouse, yes,
that
is. I think that
is open.
I'm going to go,
it is.
yes. I'm going to say, yes, it is. I didn't know if anything changed while I was gone. So,
yes,
it is. So that is in June. Brian Reed is going on that one, but you can stay right here in the States, go to Florida, and get to love on families walking through her childhood cancer. It's a great opportunity. It's great for families to go, or
kids can come.
Yeah, kids
not
can come.
Every trip necessarily designed for that, but this is for your family. You go spend a week at the beach, but while you're there, loving on families.
Yes, it's a great way for everybody to be involved. And then we'll have lots of ways coming up for people to be involved here locally. We'll be going to the hub in February to do a meal and lots of different ways that you'll hear about. So
absolutely. What's the best way of them finding about ways to do good, Robyn?
Text the whatever, put it in the
77222. Yep, I'll put it in the show notes. If you're driving, don't stop and text right now.
Yes,
but sign up and get the text updates. Email Robyn at thesimplecechurch.tv, Robyn with a Y. We'll put that in there as
Yep.
well. And if you have questions or things you want to be connected to, we'd love for you to do that. Sally and Brittany, thank y'all. Thanks for going on the trip. Thanks for doing good. Thanks for all you guys listening and download this episode. Make sure you subscribe. You get each new episode every Wednesday they come out. And we'll be back telling you more ways to do good and stuff coming up at the Simple Church on Backstage with the Simple Church. Bye-bye.